WeWork, the 47 billion unicorn that became a cautionary tale. Hook. What if I told you that a company selling office space convinced the world it was the next Google, that it was worth more than Ford and Delta Airlines combined, fueled by free-flowing beer and a messianic founder? This is the story of WeWork, a company that promised to elevate the world's consciousness, but instead became one of the most spectacular corporate implosions in modern history. How did it all go so wrong? Script body. Act 1. The genesis of a revolution. In the wake of the 2008 financial crisis, the world was hungry for something new. The old corporate structures felt rigid, broken. From the ashes of Lehman Brothers rose a new economy, the gig economy, the freelance revolution. And into this void stepped two men: Adam Neumann, a charismatic Israeli entrepreneur with boundless ambition, and Miguel McKelvey, a quiet architect with a vision for community. Their first venture was Green Desk, an eco-friendly co-working space in Brooklyn. It was a success, but it was just a prelude. In 2010, they sold it and launched their grand experiment, WeWork. The idea was simple but powerful. They would take long-term leases on large office buildings, chop them up into smaller, beautifully designed spaces, and rent them out on flexible, short-term contracts to freelancers, startups, and even large corporations. But WeWork wasn't just selling desks. It was selling an idea, a community, a vibe. Neumann wasn't a landlord, he was a prophet. He spoke of the we generation, a collective bound by a desire for purpose and connection, not just a paycheck. Early WeWork spaces were electric, they had exposed brick, kombucha on tap, and networking events that felt more like parties. It was the physical manifestation of the startup dream, and people bought into it completely. This was the era of the sharing economy. Uber was revolutionizing transport. Airbnb was changing travel. These companies weren't just businesses, they were tech platforms, asset-light and infinitely scalable. Neumann brilliantly positioned WeWork in the same league. He insisted WeWork was not a real estate company. It was a space-as-a-service platform, a tech company connecting people. This narrative was crucial. Real estate companies are valued at a modest multiple of their revenue. Tech companies, they are valued on the promise of future domination, with multiples that can be 10, 20, or even 100 times their revenue. By framing WeWork as a tech company, Neumann unlocked a universe of venture capital funding that would have been impossible for a simple office rental business. Early growth was explosive. From a single location in Soho, New York, they expanded across the US and then the world. The model seemed to work. They were capturing the zeitgeist perfectly. But underneath the kombucha taps and ping pong tables, a fundamental business reality was being ignored. WeWork was taking on massive long-term financial liabilities, leases, and balancing them with fickle short-term revenue, memberships. In a good economy, it worked, but it was a model built on a knife's edge. A slight downturn could be catastrophic, but in the heady days of the early 2010s, no one seemed to care. The story was just too good. Act 2. The cult of hypergrowth. In 2017, the story got a whole lot better and a whole lot crazier. Adam Neumann met Masayoshi Son, the enigmatic founder and CEO of SoftBank and its newly created $1 billion vision fund. Masa, as he's known, is famous for his gut instinct investments and his 300-year vision for humanity. He invests not in companies, but in revolutions. And in Adam Neumann, he saw a revolutionary. The story of their first meeting is legendary. Masa gave Neumann a tour of his office, then sat him down and told him, in a fight, the crazy guy wins. He told Neumann that WeWork wasn't being nearly ambitious enough. He wanted Neumann to be 10 times crazier, to expand 10 times faster. He didn't just want WeWork to dominate co-working, he wanted it to dominate all aspects of life. Before Neumann even left the building, Masa had sketched out a deal on an iPad, a $4.4 billion investment that valued WeWork at an eye-watering $20 billion. This was the moment the rocket fuel was injected. With SoftBank's billions, WeWork went on an unprecedented global expansion and acquisition spree. They opened hundreds of new locations, often right across the street from each other.